to charge something on my debit card, but designated how it needs to go through its credit so it doesn't go through tomorrow when I get my check. Well, I was on hold, and they had horrible hold music. So we were talking, it was a little frustrating, and I'm like, and by the way, just listening to that music makes somebody just want to kill themselves. She took my frustration in saying that it took her and took it on upon herself to call the New Haven Police Department to come here and do a wellness check on me to make sure I wasn't going to kill myself.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, it was nice she was concerned, but still. But everybody that's listening in TikTok land and YouTube, the Nugster is fine.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So right now we're going to go to our NXT recap.
Alrighty. Obviously, this week's NXT came from Orlando, Florida. Next time they won't be in Orlando is when they're Stand and Deliver, when they'll be in, Paradise, Nevada, which is a subdivision of Las Vegas. And as in true top rope fashion, everything NXT, I lead off. This week's episode of NXT opened up with Stephanie McCool coming out to the ring. Once again, I get to lead off. She came out with general manager Ava, joined her in the ring, where it was then announced that La Primera, Stephanie McCool, would be relinquishing the Women's North American Championship in an attempt to make sure the title got defended regularly, as long and her only caveat was that she gets to pick her opponent for the NXT Women's Championship at Stand and Deliver. Both Jordynne Grace and Jada Parker came out at different times, interrupting her. They did some, back and forth and engaged in a brawl before being separated by security. Jordynne Grace threw a gentleman farther than I think I influenced softball. And she even joked about it. I saw a video she put on X that she's got to stop doing this because she was drug tested right after she flung this man. So, obviously I think she's juicing it up. Was I disappointed to see that she's relinquishing the title? Yes. They're having qualifying matches for a ladder match to determine, in a 6-win ladder match, to determine the new North American champion at Stand and Deliver. So, we've already got 2 from last night we'll be talking about. There's 2 more NXTs between now and then, so I'm assuming there's been 2 qualifying matches both nights. But, I think this was an okay way to start. I'm going to do something I never do, and I'm actually going to compliment Ava. When she first was part of the dyad, I just like, why the fuck is this girl here? And then they made her NXT general manager. Once again, I'm like, why the fuck is this girl here? She now she doesn't look like a little kid or a little girl anymore. She looks like a young woman, and she's really, really coming to her own, much more comfortable on the mic. So I'm gonna give her some flowers and say she's doing a pretty good job. And I thought it was a good way to open it. I'm gonna give it a solid B.
Okay. Well, I kind of disagree a little bit. I didn't like the way this started off. I understand Stephanie wanting to relinquish the title because, defending both titles, defending one title is hard enough. Defending two of them has got to be the hardest thing ever. When Ava came out, I sat there and I said, well, they got her as general manager now, which is good for her because she couldn't wrestle worth a damn. So,
She's understandable.
right. So,
Why they gave her something to do.
but then Jordan Grace came out and Jada Parker came out. We saw a little confrontation between them two, which I'm hoping that they have a match between those two for the right to go into the ladder match. But yeah, I really didn't care too much for this. I mean, Stephanie really, didn't get herself involved a little bit, which I'm kind of glad she did, but I'm kind of wishing, that something else had happened. I gave it a C+.
Oh, okay. All right. In a pre-tape promo, we saw Trick Williams continue to show hints of him turning heel as he talked trash about both Obafemi and Javon Evans. We went to our first ladder match qualifying match, as was Metaphor's Last Legend taking on Zaria. Trev, you're up first for this.
All right, thank you, Greg. I thought this was a good match. I really wasn't paying too much attention to the match at first because I was enamored by what Sol Ruca had on. I think I have more material in my slippers than what she was wearing for shorts. But yeah, both of these women displayed some power moves. I really didn't think Zaria was as strong as she is, but she's a strong woman. And Last Legend is she's gotten so much better. I think since her and Jakara Jackson aren't really involved with Metaphor anymore, although they are called Meta Girls, I think she's leaps and bounds better than she was before. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was good. I think the right person got the win. It was a big win for Zaria, so she qualifies and goes into the ladder match. I gave it a B-.
Okay. Yeah, this was a pretty good match. I mean, first and foremost, the right contender went over. If you thought that Last Legend was going to win this and Zaria wasn't, then you haven't been watching NXT. I mean, Julian became a champion rather quick. Stephanie became a matter of time. We'll talk about Ricky Sage later. Ethan Page. So, yeah. Come on over. We're going to give you a championship. This was, Zaria found herself, on the defensive often. Legend was using her size to her advantage. She put her in a torture act. The submission, halfway through, and everything that Zaria was doing, it seemed like Lash was just overpowering her. Legend was pretty good. She probably turned in one of the most complete performances as a singles wrestler that she has in if not ever, definitely in quite a while. And I think it's because she had somebody in the ring with her that kind of matched her power. I knew Zaria, she's a strong woman. It was at one point when, Last Legend did the kip up and Zaria flubbed it. But Big Joseph, why I like Big Joseph so much is he immediately covered for her, chalking it up to she was just being thrown off her game, and she's not used to being overpowered, so it was in her head mentally. So just without missing a beat, he covered it, and I thought that was great as well. Last Legend gave Zaria one hell of a choke slam. I thought she was going to go right through the mat, but she then, was able to kick out, and then before you know it, she gave her the spear for the win. I knew she wasn't going to get up in one of those F5s or F4s, whatever you want to call it. But this was a nice match. Really nothing outside the ring as far as Chikara getting involved or anything. You just want to be as well.
Okay.
We then saw Hank and Tank backstage. Before that, we saw a pre-tape vignette of the D'Angelo family where they were given information about Dark State. We then saw Hank and the Tank backstage dressed like Pretty Deadly, and Pretty Deadly was there and gave him a whole yes boy thing. We then got to the tag team matchup where it was Tevion Heights and Miles Bourne of No Quarter Catch crew taking on Hank and Tank. I get to lead off for this one, and this was your typical Hank and Tank matchup. I almost felt bad for No Quarter Catch crew being in this match. I think they're good. I really think they can be good. I think they can be, after Fraxium goes up, I could see them very easily being the tag team champions. But it was an acceptable match. And kind of just giving till another week of another crushing defeat for Hank and Tank. I know they kept yelling, yes, boy, the entire match, making fun of Hank and Tank. But, this was just an okay match for me. Even though Ren Sinclair is cute as a button, was outside the ring. I'm going to give it a C.
All righty. Yeah, I just don't know what they're going to do with Hank and Tank. I mean, they are losing every week. No Quarter Catch crew is definitely a top-notch tag team in NXT. I agree with you. I think they're going to be champions eventually. Tavion Heights, he's just a tremendous wrestler. Miles Bourne, he's right up there as well with him. Excuse me. And I thought this was an okay match. Hank and Tank, they're, we kind of like say it almost every week. They're kind of like NXT's version of Heavy Machinery. Tank Ledger is just so funny at some of the things he does in the ring. But yeah, I agree. I gave it a C.
Okay. After that, we then saw Trick Williams come to the ring and basically attempt to call out Obafemi. Trivia, you were up first.
All righty. Yeah, I think we're going to see an eventual Trick Williams heel turn. We started calling out Obafemi. Then Javon Evans came out and kind of, was talking to Trick, saying, how he had Carmelo, and now that Carmelo's gone, that kind of, when Carmelo was here, he just kind of was being held back. And then Obafemi came out and he was talking with both of them, and I guess they're going to be in a tag team match next week, a 6-man match next week against a 3 out of the 4. What are they called again? 4 what? Dark State. So they're going to be in a 6-man match. I don't see them getting along too well. I think that might be when we see.
Don't you do it! Don't you steal my thunder! I see it coming out of your eyes.
Okay.
Finish.
I just think it's going to be an interesting 6-man match. I just don't know what they're going to do with this Dark State. This is going to be the first time we've seen them in the ring. They look like they're going to be pretty good athletes. They look like they'll be pretty good in the ring, but we don't know until we see it. But I thought it was a pretty good promo. I gave it a B.
Okay. I saw you going there. You were going there, and I put up the roadblock. I saw you trying to steal my thoughts.
The roadblock on the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, Carmelo, Jesus Christ. Trick Williams on the mic just does not do it for me. As a heel, it's better. And I think he is turning heel. I think Obafemi's over with the fans, and Javon Evans over with the fans. So Trick Williams playing the heel in all this is a perfect thing. I mean, I know Javon said, Trick, you don't know who the hell you is, do you? He said, hey, you ain't Trick Williams, you're Carmelo Hayes. That's why I was thinking Carmelo Hayes. Obafemi finally came out and, made his presence known. Finally, Javon Evans issued a challenge reminding both men that he was a second away from winning a deadline and taking the NXT title. A little bit, back and forth ensued before Ava appeared and officially announced that there would be a triple threat match between the three men at Stand and Deliver. That's when Dark State interrupted and a brawl, interrupted the brawl between the three guys. Getting out of the ring and jumping on Evans, taking out Obafemi, laying him out, and eventually, with an assisted, pop-up powerbomb to Trick Williams. So, I mean, even Trick Williams saying that he's him, could this open up the door for Carmelo Hayes to come back to NXT? And I've said it to Mike. I don't know if I've said it on the show or not, but there was quite a hesitation before all four men of Dark State started to beat down on Trick Williams. And it once again, and this is the roadblock that I threw in front of Mike. I am not going to be surprised now. Key timing of that is going to be at Stand and Deliver when it's a triple threat match and there's no disqualification in a triple threat match. And these four men come down and beat the living piss out of Obafemi and Javon Evans, and then look to do the same to Trick Williams, and then they kind of like usher him over to pin Javon Evans, whatever. But we have seen a couple of these guys in the ring. One of the guys is Dion Lennox. Do you remember that rather good-looking black gentleman with the glasses?
Yep.
And was kind of mild-mannered kid? Well, he's in Dark State. And Cutler James from LFG, which is kind of stupid to me that he's featured on LFG as somebody on Bubba Ray's team trying to compete for an NXT contract, is now part of Dark State in NXT.
Yeah, makes no sense.
You don't say that, but anyways, so this was all. So we've got another match set up for Stand and Deliver. I actually give a B-.
Alrighty.
We're getting ready to go to a ladder match qualified with Kalani Jordan taking on Roxanne Perez. Before that, We saw the tag. They showed a camera shot of the tag team of Swipe Right from Evolve in the audience. Swipe Right, for those you don't know, they're two independent wrestlers for the ID program in WWE by the name of Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Later on, Brad Baylor actually said something about Roxanne Perez may be the prodigy, but she's definitely a smoke show. We